Paul Stoddart, I'm the Deputy CEO of Vocalink. Vocalink provide national payment systems. We provide them in the UK, Singapore, Thailand. We're building the new one in the US, and we've got about 5 or 6 other markets where we're working in at the moment. My presentation today was on instant payments going global. As I mentioned, we operate or provide technology into 5 markets today, and we see about 25 markets thinking about or implementing real-time payment systems currently. We think within 20 years, every market in the world will have a new retail instant payment system. So that was the meat of the presentation, and I was sharing with the audience around how the banks have worked with the technology, the influences that come from government and from the central banks, and in general, how do we build a platform for innovation for an economy. I mean, starting with the UK, we saw big users of the system be the tier 1 banks, governments, but also the fintech community, businesses who were starting their business where payment for something is a really important factor in what they offer to customers. And so we saw early adopters in that sector. As we come outside of the UK, we've seen the government in Thailand are a significant user of the new prompt pay service, and they use the national ID as the proxy to route payments to citizens, which we think is a fantastic use case for all sorts of interactions with government. In Singapore, it was developed and went live in 2014, and we've seen the banks really start to implement and develop new mobile payment solutions for their customers, and so mobile payments is a big factor, a big new channel really for banks and businesses to leverage the new instant payment infrastructure. The US system goes live at the back end of this year. We're waiting to see how the banks will choose to develop services and how they'll implement the technology. Real time is about the customer experience, and it's about certainty, and it's about security. And when I think about as a customer, if I want to buy something, I want it to happen now. And I want to pay for something, and I want to know the money's left my account, and I want to know the person I'm trying to pay has received that money. So to use a pun on the word seamless, it is about creating a seamless experience for customers, from the moment at which they want to buy something to the moment at which they can walk away with the goods, and the person they bought it from can feel confident that they've received the money and there's no chance they're not going to get it. So for me, it's about creating that customer experience, and once you create that customer experience in one use case, then the customers want it for everything, whether they're consumers, businesses, governments, banks. There are other benefits for banks in implementing new technology in this area, reducing their total cost of ownership, simplifying their technology architecture, but there's a lot of benefits for the stakeholders in a market, and we've learned from what we've done in the UK, we've built on that for Singapore and for Thailand and for the US. As I said before, I think we'll see every country implementing a system over the next 10 to 20 years. There's 2 kind of broad areas for me that continue to excite me, and also I have my teams thinking about and how to develop services around. The first is around data analytics, and the data flows that go alongside and with payments. How different stakeholders in a value chain can benefit from having access to that data, use that data in secure way, ensuring that they protect any identity or sensitive information that's being carried, but also how they can derive value from that data and build new services and products. So again, to coin a phrase that's already been coined, big data is the next big thing in real-time payments. I think the other thing for me, continuing on the trend of mobile and the Internet of Things. So I can see a world where a human doesn't play a part in a payment transaction in a number of areas. And I think the Internet of Things for me is the second big thing that is going to require payment systems and payment services to provide added consideration and added factors around how it's used, when it's used, why it's used, and the security of it being used. So they're the two big things that I'm watching. They're the two big things that I have people spending time on and researching and thinking about how we factor those areas into what we're developing in new instant payment systems. I love Asia as a region because whenever I come to Asia, I hear something new about a way in which somebody wants to do something with payments or with technology. So I love being part of the region, and Singapore at the heart of the region allows me to meet people from all over the region. And Seamless and this event actually, I mean, I've had lunch with banks from the Philippines, banks from Malaysia, banks from Thailand, banks from Vietnam, banks from Cambodia. I mean, I come here knowing that I'm going to get a really rich experience with people from all over the region. And that's, although there are similar problems and similar opportunities in other markets, there is some uniqueness about the different Asian markets. And I think building that learning into our services and products will really benefit the company as we look to take those services into the US and Latin America and the rest of Europe. So it's a critical part for me in understanding how we build better, more effective, more efficient payment systems. Thank you very much. Good to see you again.